Hello. I've gotten a sudden burst of people interested in Xtrument after this video that I did with Jordan, where we were demonstrating um, the capability of Xtrument, especially with the ability to do arpeggiation-oriented stuff really well. Okay, so this is a site that you go to download it, and when you get here, there's a downloads link, and if you follow it, just get this latest version of it. And if you go back to the original source page, if you scroll down, there's a little bit here. It's telling you that there's something you need to do to make sure that your MIDI actually works correctly. All right? And what this is describing is you get applications, utilities, audio MIDI setup, and in there, show the MIDI window. And if there isn't an IEC driver, you should add one. But when you have it, you have to make sure it's online. If you don't do that, even if you got GarageBand set up and you got it pointed at a MIDI instrument, you still will end up with no sound. If you've done MIDI before, you've probably already done this stuff for some reason. So, next. Alright, so once you have it and you've started it up, well, first you should start like GarageBand. Right? So I start up GarageBand, and when you pick an instrument track, pick a software instrument track. And when you pick it, pick your instrument. And I really like the guitar ones, although I got some other favorites. The Synth Leads Arena Run, that's one of my favorites, but we use the guitar one. Okay, all right. First I'm going to start off with the things that actually are not Sam Chilean, but they are unique to Xtrument. And it's this top row here. This is what we were using in the video. These are notes in the minor scale, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, right? So in terms of A minor, first would be the note A, third would be C, fifth would be E. So if you see the key that I'm typing, 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1. What's happening is when you arpeggiate, you go 1, 3, 5, and then if you went up to 8, that's an A, but 1 is also an A. There is no difference at all between these notes. They're not an octave apart. They're the same exact note. For instance, 8 and 9, or if I do 1, 7, 9. Okay. There are no intervals larger than a fourth. So if I go 1, 2, 1, 2, that is what you expect. 1, 2, 1, 2, that goes up. 1, 4, that goes up. But watch what happens when I do 1, 5. So what it does is instead of going up by a fifth, it goes down by a fourth. If I do 1, 6, 1, 6, right, that's equivalent to doing 8, 6. Or the same thing as doing, well, if I do 1, 7, that's the same thing as 8, 7. Okay, so what I call this feature is octave rounding. And the point of octave rounding is for the kind of music that you're doing, the actual octave that you're in is less important than having the right note and not having to change positions when you're fingering. Allows you to fly around and arpeggiate, as an example. So if I go 1, 3, 5 and going up, 5, 3, 1 going down, or as an alternate fingering, what I typically do, I do 1, 3, 5, and because 8 is the same note, I'll typically finger it as 8, 5, 3. So going up, okay, and just like normal inverted chords on a piano, if I'm doing an arpeggio and say I drop 1, down 2, go below it, that's actually the same thing as 357. So if I do 358, go back to the original figure, 368, that's exactly the same thing as 680. Okay, now this is just diatonic scales. So what Jordan was using was these notes and the vibrato keys, which is if you hold a note and Z, and there's also one for your other pinky, which is a slash key. So okay, now that's simple, and none of that actually has anything to do with the original Sam Chilean. That's all my little innovations on top of it because I need it for certain things I'm doing. Now let me explain the rest of the keyboard. This has got a much higher learning curve, but it allows you to be really effective. I'm going to show you the kind of phrasings you can do with it. And that's something that is within the reach of anyone. Playing fast is extremely easy on a Sam Chilean. What is hard is playing phrasing accurately. It can become difficult to land on the correct note when you're playing completely relative. But playing fast is a relatively easy thing to do on this. So the mentality is you got keys that only do intervals. For instance, F here is marked as move -1. And H is also marked as move -1. So this MV means move. So move -1, move -1. So that means every time I press H or F, it goes down by 1. And if I want to play fast, I can't do it on the same finger. I'll alternate fingers, which is why it's duplicate, so I'll do FH instead. If I want to go up, you notice that D and N are duplicates as move +1. So I do DN, DN. And also having these alternate fingerings allows your fingering to be rhythmically correct. That's really important in getting good sound when you're playing Sam Chilean. Making sure you're on spot, getting it hooked up. And everything else is just practice. So good luck. It's hard to play simple stuff. It's easy to play fast stuff. It's kind of an ironic instrument. It's like